hype for this book is definitely worth it. It is so sad and poetic and beautiful, and my heart is in 100,000,000 pieces. You're about to watch me read If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. I'm going to be updating you periodically with my thoughts as I'm reading the book. So let's go back to before I started this book. So I think I have in the middle expectations for this book, because it's like, I don't expect it to like blow my mind, but I think that it's still going to be good. I think that this is probably gonna be, I don't know, 3.5, 4 stars. That's my prediction. We'll see if I'm right though. So from my understanding, If He Had Been With Me is basically a second chance romance, I think. I think that it's supposed to be sad though, and I don't know why I have that vibe. I think that's what it is. Yeah, but it's basically about this girl named Autumn, and I think that it's from her POV, and she and her best friend Finn basically did everything together, and at one point they just kind of like grew apart. Finn ended up getting a girlfriend, Autumn has a boyfriend, and they don't talk anymore, but there seems to still be that connection. Like they'll look at each other and be like, but what if things were different? And that's kind of like the story. So I think that it's a second chance romance, and I think that something tragic happens, but I don't really know what. And maybe I'm just making that up. I have no idea. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of how I understand the book. So without further ado, let's read If He Had Been With Me. So I'm now a little bit more than 100 pages into If He Had Been With Me, and here are my thoughts so far. This book has immediately just like hooked me in, that I'm like reading, and I'm like, oh, I'm more than 100 pages. I need to like pause, and I'm like, one more page, one more chapter, and then I'm continuing to read. And it's so like, I don't know what it is about it, but it's just like gripping my soul, and I can't put it down. It's basically just following the high school life of our main character, Autumn. And it's interesting the way that it's written, because it's not written in the usual kind of like first person way. It's kind of written more like a narrative that you would see in a diary, with the occasional quotes for conversations. And I think that like done right, it's done really well. And I've definitely seen times where this kind of narrative diary, not quite diary format, isn't done right, but this one, I really like the way this one's done. And the way that the author writes is really interesting. She likes to repeat herself a couple of times, but it's intentional repetition. And I like the way that it's done. It works really well. For example, and I know, if he had been with me, everything would have been different. He'll be at my home by then, and we'll spend it together. Jamie. Jamie, I think. Jamie. And the way that it's written, there's also really just short, concise sentences. For example, on chapter 20, it says, "The day after Thanksgiving, my parents fight. I stay in my room throughout the day, listening, trying not to listen. Sometimes my mother screams and he shouts in return. Sometimes they whisper to each other angrily. Sometimes there are silences. Doors slam again and again." And it just creates this really compelling, dramatic effect. And it gets you into the mind of the character, and it kind of reads like poetry in a way. It's like a mix of that narrative diary aspect fused with poetry, but not quite. And I think that it's really just beautiful and captivating and unique. And the author, at least so far, has done a really good job in using this unique writing style to tell the story of Autumn. Another line that I actually really like that I just read before I updated you is this: "I want to pull Finney out of my mind like a splinter so that I can adore Jamie the way he deserves to be adored. And even more than that, because I am a selfish, bad creature, I want to feel that adoration. I want to be free of this guilt." It's just beautiful. I like it. And the story is nothing special either. It's literally just following Autumn's life in high school and her friend group and her boyfriend, and her wondering what life would be like if she was with Finny, as she calls him. Everyone else calls him Finn, but because they grew up together, he was just always went by Finny, but his full name is Phineas. And they were like major best friends, did everything together, grew up together. Their moms are best friends, which is how they become best friends, and they're literally neighbors, boy next door vibes. And it's so hard to explain these types of stories where it's literally just somebody's life. But that's the kind of story this is, and I am devouring this, and I'm having such a good time, and I'm really excited to see where it goes. And like, what is the end into a story like this? There was some potential sad hint in the prologue, and I'm like, wait, what? And that was a really good prologue, by the way. It really just took me in, and I'm like, wow, okay. So yeah, that's pretty much where we're at right now. I'm going to continue to read this book that I'm really, really enjoying, and I will update you around the halfway mark. So I will see you then with my thoughts. So I'm now a little bit more, well, I guess, wow, a lot more than I thought, more than halfway through this book, and I'm still absolutely loving it. I cannot put it down. I'm like, I love it. I'm so obsessed with the poetic writing style that this book has. I think that some people may not like it if you don't like the kind of vibe of like Shatter Me or We Were Liars. It in a way has a similar vibe, but it's still its own kind of style, if that makes sense. But it's definitely a very unique style, so I don't think it's for everybody. For me, I personally really, really love it. It feels like I'm reading poetry. I love the metaphors. I love the sentences. I love the way that the story is being told. And it's just like so captivating. I always love stories like this where you're just following the life of somebody. One of my favorite movies is Citizen Kane, and it's literally just the life of some guy. And It's a Wonderful Life is another one of my favorite movies, and it's literally just the life of some guy. And this book is literally just the life of somebody, and you're just following her around throughout high school. And so I'm at the point now where she's in her senior year, she's about to go to prom, and it's really cool to reflect on like the friendships that she has, like the other relationships that some of her friends get in, and kind of the events that happen to them all while they're in high school. I certainly don't think that Jamie is as perfect as she thinks he is. I think that Jamie and Sasha are together secretly, and that's really gonna hurt Autumn when she finds out. Like, it just seems like that's what's happening. And so, yeah, I think that there's something there. And it makes me really sad for Autumn if that is the case, because Sasha is supposedly like her best friend and Jamie's the boyfriend, and like all that stuff that could happen. The interactions with Finny or Finn and Autumn, I'm just like, please guys, like just talk about it. Please, I want you guys to be friends, because I'm scared of like what the ending of this book is going to be like. And it's like, I don't know what's gonna happen, and I know that something happens, and I don't know what that something is, and I have like this impending doom feeling that something bad is gonna happen at the end of this book, either about Finn or about Autumn, and I'm like, no, I don't know. And like the cover, this has to be telling me something, and it's like, I feel like I've been mentally preparing myself since page 1, and I feel like I'm not ready, and I'm nervous. I really like this book. I have the second book, so I don't really know. I think the second book is from Finn's perspective though, so I think it's still the same story, but like from his perspective, if I understand correctly. Obviously, I don't want to like read the back of it because it would be a spoiler to this book, I think. And yeah, so I just need to take a breath, and I need to prepare myself, because I'm in the last part of this book now, and she's in her senior year, and we know that the accident with Finn and Sylvie happens. This is the first page, not really a spoiler. It happens when Finn is 19, and the characters are 18 right now. So yeah, a little bit nervous, a lot of bit nervous actually, but I'm having such a good time with this book. The hype for this one is definitely real so far, at least for where I'm at. We'll see like how it ends, because like the ending of a book is so crucial. In my opinion, you can have a really, really good book, but if the ending isn't that good, it's automatically gonna lose some points in my book, because like it doesn't feel whole. And so yeah, so far we're on a really good track. I love this book. I love it so much. I love it more than I thought I would. And yeah, so I'm going to continue to read it and I will update you when I finish it. So I will see you then with my final thoughts. And potentially a broken heart. I'm so sad. If He Had Been With Me broke my heart. I knew that there was going to be something sad that was gonna happen. That was like the vibe, the vague kind of like things I heard through the grapevine, but I didn't know exactly how, when, or why. And even though I was like mentally prepared myself, it still hit hard. I literally finished this book 5 minutes before I had to go to work, and I'm just like staring out, just thinking, I'm like, I want to cry and be sad, but I have a meeting I need to attend. So I was like, just like kept it all in, and it's just like festering now. And I'm just like, oh, this book. I think this is gonna leave a lasting impact on me for sure. To me, this is impacted me the way that The Fault in Our Stars did by John Green when I was a teenager. I was absolutely obsessed with the book, obsessed with the movie, obsessed with Augustus Waters, and this book had a similar feel, and I'm just like really emotionally damaged from it. The only part of this book that I didn't like was what happened a little bit towards the end, and how like Sylvie was technically like still with him, if you know what I mean. And so that part I was like, it was a big drama when it happened to like 2 other characters and how it affected our characters. So like I get that they were kind of talking about like, oh, like it's different when you think of it like from these people's perspectives, but it's still not good, and I don't condone that behavior at all. I don't like that, and I don't want to see it kind of like spun as something romantic and amazing and cool, because it's not the case. And so that's the only part of the book that I didn't like, but everything else I absolutely am obsessed with. I am just in love with everything about it. It's not a unique story either. Like, you're not going to go into this book expecting, oh my goodness, my mind is going to be blown. This is going to be like a super unique story. The characters are going to be super different. No, they're just people. It's literally just following the lives of some people. But it's the way that the author grips you. That's what makes this book good, in my opinion. Like, anybody can tell that story. That story's been done 100 times. Those characters have been done 100 times. But it's the way that it's been written and the narrative and the positioning of it that makes this book just so good. And I love that so much. I love it so much. So today we are going to be awarding If He Had Been With Me a total of 5 stars. The way that I ate this book up and could not stop thinking about it. I had dreams about it. I would wake up in the morning and be like, oh, I can read now. And then I'm like, reading, and then like, it's time to go to bed. And I'm like, no, but I just want to read. The kind of just like chokehold that it had on me, I knew from like the first 100 pages that this was going to be a 5-star read. And I'm so happy that it is. I love having a 5-star read. And yeah, I'm just like, but we're not done with this series yet. Because the next book I'm reading is If Only I Had Told Her. And this is the sequel to the book. I'm not entirely sure like how it's going to be a sequel, but it seems like it's from 3 different perspectives of 3 different characters. So I think that's cool. So I don't know if it's going to be like this book told from different perspectives, or if it's going to be completely different, or maybe like a mix of both. So yeah, I'm really excited. This is what I'm going to be reading next. And I feel like I'm just setting myself up to cry, you know? So if you're interested in watching me read If Only I Had Told Her, or any other book that happens to be on my never-ending TBR, I did finally get Warbreaker. Look at that. Bam. So I'll be reading that eventually as well. Definitely hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and turn on the bell notification. That way you get notified anytime a new video comes out. If you love books that make you cry, definitely hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!